Pistachio.
Hey, aloha, everybody. Jeff Reinebold from Sky Sports and the Jeff Reinebold Show. And this is the Jeff Reinebold Show, brought to you by 888 Sport, the official gambling partner of the National Football League in both Ireland and the UK. And my buddy, my pal, who's soon to be eating bratwurst and drinking beer in Frankfurt, watching a classic NFL matchup. Michael McQuaid joins me, and we are going to talk a little football and take your questions and take your feedback. And Michael, let's go. It's Thursday night, and it is huge.
Hi, Jeff. How are you doing? Good to see you, man. Warm welcome to everyone watching live. Get your comments in on YouTube, and a big welcome to everybody on the Friday morning listening on the podcast. Jeff, you're right, man. I'm going to Frankfurt and buzzing. Confirmed. I haven't been talking to you since we were on. Where have you been all week?
You should be buzzing. And you know what else I think we need on this show, Mike? You know how you have your guy on Lunes scream into the show that it's Monday night, right? In Spanish, right? And talks about his pasión para NFL, right? We need to get that on Thursday Night Football in Gaelic and have somebody who understands Gaelic enough to get in here and cut a video for us so we can match your guy. What is his name?
Oh, John Sutcliffe. John Sutcliffe.
So we can match John Sutcliffe's Monday Night Passion with a little Irish passion, a little Gaelic invitation to what's Thursday in Gaelic?
Jeez, you put me on the spot now. I haven't done it in years, but oh God.
Oh, your elementary school teachers would be really disappointed.
No, hold on. You're really putting me out here for a start. And secondly, like this is a confusing subject. I live in an interesting place, and that's all I can say.
Okay.
You watch Sons of Anarchy?
Pardon me?
You watch Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah.
You know, whenever they went to Ireland, it's not like that, basically. I don't Irish for 3 years.
I know. You know what, Mike? I don't know if that's true or not, but we're going to find out because we're making 6 tour stops in Ireland this year.
7
tour stops. We got a 7?
Yeah, so we're going. I love how you do that. Yeah, we got Belfast, Derry,
Dundalk,
Cork, Galway,
Cork,
Limerick, Cork, Dublin. 7, and then we're in. By the way, Fred's gave us the Irish translation. Can I just say very quickly? I done Irish for 3 years in school. It's the biggest regret of my life / career, to be honest with you. I have no doubt if I could speak fluent Irish, I'd be on TG Cahir on college football Saturdays, commentating for free. No doubt about it whatsoever.
Well, I tell you what, I hope you're not commentating for free, but I would love to see.
I do it at this point.
And Fred, thank you for the lesson in Gaelic, because my buddy here who went to, studied Gaelic for 3 years in elementary school doesn't know a word. He must have been shooting spitballs in the back of the class or passing notes to the girls. Or did you even have girls in your school? Did you go to Catholic school?
See, this is the whole thing. All right, we're going down a whole hole here, but I went to a Catholic school. It was one building, half was boys, half was girls, but you couldn't walk down the corridor. And then in the second year, we amalgamated. So imagine having a year where you didn't talk to girls. In first year, our principal, our headmaster was a priest, so it very, notoriously, like you just wouldn't have it anymore, Jeff. Basically, but good times. And I know people that are listening to this / going to your live shows went to that school. So I'm going to shut up right now and say no more. Here, talking about lambasting picks, Jeff. Some of your picks last week, man. I think we have to have a discussion.
What are you talking about?
I picked the Bears last week against the Raiders. Remember?
Yeah, I understand that. So you hit one, and now you're gonna lambast me, right?
I'm joking. Here, but see before we hit the whole week 8 schedule and sort of give our picks, can you talk about the news that you were talking about off camera, or does it have to be very quiet at the minute? I don't mind.
The news is that I will be back in the UK on the 21st of November, just in time for the Thanksgiving Day shows, the Black Friday show, and then the Sunday shows. So it's going to be a busy first weekend. We've got shows in Glasgow. We got shows in Manchester. And then I'll be at Sky all the way through the Christmas holidays. And then from there on, I can't tell you where I'm going to be, Mike. I could be parts anywhere until January comes, the third week in January, and it's going to be live in Ireland. We are going 7 tour stops. And I just found out today, Mike, and I think this is really cool. And all joking aside, I think this is really, really an awesome deal. When we do the Cork show, which is sold out, I'm going to spend an hour and a half on the field with one of the local teams, all right, in Cork that afternoon, and I'm going to put on a practice for the players, talk to the coaches. The coaches they've invited me to go to lunch with them. We're going to put a little clinic together. Then we're going to share some of the information that I give them about the techniques that are so important in this game. There's really 12 transferable skills that every football player needs to learn how to do. We're going to teach those to the coaches in Cork and then go out on the field, and I'll show those guys how to put drills together that let you work on those 12 skills. So not only do we want to have fun, in the shows, but we also want to leave the football in Ireland better than when it was before we came over. So I hope we're able to do that at every single tour stop, even Dundalk.
Well, I will certainly do my best. If I'm chauffeuring you, I'll look for people in the Admirals watching this. I'll have you down for 12 o'clock. But we're in Galway the night before, Jeff, and we are on the Schlugs is the word. The Schlugs.
Drinks?
Yeah. The Guinness.
So, no. How many times I have no?
You can't go to Galway and not have a pint. I'm sorry, you have to. And the people in the Scaff bar in Galway are putting this up for the night and everything. You have to have a pint of Guinness. You have no choice.
All right. I for the fans in Ireland, I'll do it.
Right, linktr.ee/Reinebold for Jeff's Glasgow, Manchester coming up 4 weeks. I haven't even booked travel for you yet. So you've got Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Glasgow, and Sunday.
It's going to be a jam-packed weekend. I can't wait. You know what? Other guys, Mike, that'd be too much football for. Other guys would wilt under the pressure. Other guys would fade. They wouldn't be able to get in the grind like that. But you know what? Not us, Mike. Not us. Because there's no grind too tough for us. You're going to Frankfurt. You won't sleep more than 2 hours at night. I'm just telling you right now.
Oh, I will. Believe me. I will. Definitely. I will. Anyway, thank you for that. Very, very buzzing for that next week. And this is our last live show for 10 days because I'm going to be in Spain next week. But we will have shows. They'll just be not live, but the video will go out probably, Jeff, unless my wife allows me to go live. I'm sure she will. Thursday Night Football, less again in the week 8 slate. We're going to have to roll through some of these because I think we've got I want us to do like a question and answer segment as well. And the Bills. We seen upsets last week. We've seen the Bills struggle over the last 3 weeks. The thing is, though, Jeff, over the last 3 weeks, they've got a very, very good offensive EPA, but they're still not really getting it done. I think they're going to wallop the Bucs tonight. I think this is the night where they wallop them.
Mike, this is really an interesting game because it's a short week, right? And the Bills are coming off of, 2 straight losses. The Bills are really getting a lot of heat in the media in Buffalo. And then on top of it, the Bills are beat up, right? Von Miller is just playing a handful of plays every week. They lost Milano. They lost Tre'Davious White, their number 1 corner. They've lost their tight end, Dawson Knox, right? And, Kincaid is a fine young receiver, but Kincaid is not a guy that you can line up at tight end and be an inline blocker for you. So the run game is going to suffer and the pass protection is going to suffer. The thing that's a concern if you're a Buffalo fan, Buffalo only has 1 tight end, in the program right now. They've got a practice roster tight end who they would have to activate to play. And whether he's going to be ready to play on a short week is really, really a tall ask, right? So I think what they'll probably do is activate Andy Isabella off the practice squad and go with another receiver. Now, like I said, that either puts you in 10 or 11 personnel. And everybody that watches football and pays attention to the Buccaneers knows that they love to blitz. And that's not a great offensive personnel group to be able to handle the blitz. So I think they'll pressure Josh Allen. I think they'll zone blitz him a bunch. I just don't know which Baker Mayfield's going to show up. That's the question.
And the beautiful thing for the people on the podcast right now is they know the answer already because they're listening to it on the Friday. If you're watching live, get your comments in YouTube, Jeff Reinebold or Pro Football Ireland. We'll read them out in the second segment in the show. CJ Stroud against Bryce Young, Jeff, on Sunday. First time these guys playing each other. What's your thoughts?
I think this is kind of an interesting one in that the owner of the Panthers wanted Bryce Young. And what I've been told is that the coaching staff, particularly the head coach, right, Frank Reich, wanted CJ Stroud. But the owner, as owners can, because they sign the paychecks, he said, no, I like Bryce Young better. And right now, the early, and I'm telling you, this is way too early to say one's a success and one's a failure. But the early results are in. And if it was a presidential election, right, CJ Stroud would be elected, right, because he has had a good first 7 weeks of football in the National Football League. But just remember, that's 7 weeks of football. It's not 7 years, right? Not 7 seasons, not 7 months even. It's 7 games. So hold on, tap the brakes, and let's not anoint him, and let's not, bury Bryce Young. I think the Texans will win because I think the Texans are a better football team right now. They're playing with confidence, and I think DeMeco Ryans is doing a tremendous job.
Really impressed with DeMeco Ryans as well, and I agree with you. I think they'll get the win on Sunday. And going to roll through some of these games because we talked about the Irish days for days of the weeks, and I'm already getting texts to my phone saying, ha, 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 from somebody I'm not going to name. So thank you for that to my friend. Rams at the Cowboys. Could have sworn the Cowboys were on a bye last week. Rams lose to the Steelers, Jeff, and they'll be looking to get on the road and get a win. 3-4 now, dropping what was once positive 2 weeks ago could turn sour very quickly if they don't get a win this week.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm doing this out of respect and admiration for Fred Flunk, the number one Cowboy fan I know, right? Fred has been listening to this show for years. And since we started it, I guess it's been almost 5 years ago now. And he is a huge Cowboy fan. And I'm going to pick the Cowboys just in Fred's honor because I don't trust him. I'm just telling you, I don't trust him. But I don't trust the Steelers offense even more.
That was the best explanation you could have given. I'm taking the boys. It's as you said, it's week 7. The hype is up. They're going to go 5-2, and we're going to be sitting on Monday night going mad. Oh, I nearly racked the table doing that Monday night impression. Right, I'm really up for this because we haven't really been chatting post Monday. I don't want to keep saying Monday, but Jeff, Vikings at the Packers. Like I watched Monday Night Football on Tuesday morning. You've had a very, very busy week, so feel free to unload in that game now, but this is a massive opportunity for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to go into Green Bay. It's never easy to go into Green Bay, but Green Bay really lost it against Denver last week. They should have won that game, in my opinion. Who have you got? I'm going to see.
I think I got to take the Vikings. I've been very impressed, with that football team. I think Kirk Cousins was very, very good the other night against San Francisco. That offensive line, which has been maligned and has been a problem spot for the Vikings for years, gave up 0 sacks to a great 49er front. Now, that doesn't mean they've arrived or that I'm going to anoint them, as the number one offensive line of football or any of that stuff. It just means there's progress being made, right? Cousins is good enough to win. I don't know Jefferson's health. That's a concern if you're a Vikings fan. But Brian Flores has done a tremendous job of resurrecting his career as a coach with that Viking defense. They blitz you a bunch. They're not great, but they do a lot of things schematically to make it tough on you. And right now, Green Bay is struggling. So I'm going to say, even though it's in Green Bay. I'm going to take the Vikings.
Shout out to my man Dan Whelan wearing the Irish flag on the back of his helmet last week. Dan, you gave us the biggest social thing we've ever had. 2,000 likes on Facebook. What the hell is going on? Incredible. Thank you, Dan. Keep going, mate. And look, there's a lot of Packers fans in the UK and Ireland as well. It will get better. Scenes at the Colts. Do you remember the Colts debuted a uniform last week called the Indiana Knights uniform, Jeff?
Bad.
Oh, I like them. Do you not like them? I love the jerseys, man.
Awful.
Why are they awful?
Because in my mind, Mike, I'm telling you, the Colts, since they were in Baltimore, have had one of the most simple but beautiful uniform combinations, right? The uniform had, it fit, right? It had 2 stripes on the shoulder. It had 2 stripes on the leg, right? The white helmet with the 2 horseshoes, blue horseshoes. It was clean. It was simple. It was beautiful. I'm not a guy who likes uniforms that look like they got bought at a fire sale at some sporting goods company, right? They got to be able to match. And the Colts uniforms, particularly their white uniforms, were absolutely beautiful. Things of beauty, Mike. But again, I digress because Leeds United is much like that with their all-white uniforms.
Oh, man, that was just incredible content. Who's winning the game, Jeff? I'm going to take the Colts.
The Colts are better than I thought they were, right? They're better than I thought they were. And right now, the Saints have struggled a little bit, right? The Saints have a better football team, but I'm not sure they're going to win the game, right? I think it all comes down to how Minshew plays. And if he can avoid turnovers, I think they can win the game.
Beautiful. Okay. Patriots at the Dolphins. 2 teams in Frankfurt starting from next week. The Dolphins playing the Chiefs. The Patriots in Frankfurt in 2 weeks. This is such an interesting game. How that Patriots offensive line improved against the Bills, albeit it was the Bills are hyped up. Very, very interesting situation last week. But you think, Jeff, everyone always talks about the heat in Miami, everything else. Bill Belichick, you can never count this man out after what happened last week. That being said, the handicap was, I think, 9.5 with our dear friends at 888 the last time I checked. I think the Patriots lose the game, but I think it's not any more than 9.5 points. I think they'll cover.
I think Tua will come through on this one. I think he'll do a good job. You know, the Patriots, obviously, that was a huge win for them. That was almost like a redemption win against the Bills at home. They ran the ball. We finally saw Ramondre Stevenson have an impact in the game. Was New England outstanding? No, but they played good complementary football, right? Now, I don't think, they brought in J.C. Jackson. Yes, that helped them, when they had the injuries in the secondary. But again, if the Cheetah is healthy, and he didn't practice yesterday, right? But if he's healthy and he's able to go over there and perform, I think that the Dolphins will win the game by a touchdown.
This is either going to be an absolute whipping session or it's going to be very, very tight. Jets at Giants. Jets coming off a bye week. Jets won against the Eagles without Sauce Gardner for a start.
I'm taking the Jets here, Mike. I'm tell you, I'm going to take them because I just really think right now, what's going on in New York, right now, this is not a blurt. This is something I've thought about, right? Tyrod Taylor, I think, gives you your best chance because he's willing to manage the game. He doesn't put the ball at risk, and the Giants' defense has been playing extremely well. Wink Martindale's defense has been playing extremely well. I think the Jets, however, have more weapons, and I think they have a better overall team on defense. Their front is very, very good, right? So I'm going to take the Jets to win in what will be a low-scoring and very close game.
I agree. I'll not waste time on it. The battle of the Irish NFL global market agreements. The Steelers are playing the Jaguars in Pittsburgh. I'm going to take the Steelers, not because I'm contractually obliged to, because I genuinely think the home crowd will get behind them and they'll grind out a result. I think TJ Watt and the defense will have a day against the Jacksonville offense. But Jackson was a hell of a team. It's a 4 in the bounce, so it could be a really, really good. Can you still hear me, Jeff?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I blame my wife, even though she's nothing to do with it. She's probably upstairs in the Wi-Fi. I was saying Steelers against the Jags. Look, if the Jags go 6-2, game changer in the AFC at the minute. Steelers defense, I think, will come up on the day and get them over the line. Who are you taking in the game?
I think because it's in Pittsburgh, and I think it's going to be bad weather in Pittsburgh. We're talking about the last weekend in October. Typically, you're going to get wind. You're probably going to get some rain. I don't think it's going to be real cold, but I do think it's going to be precipitation. That's what I've heard. So in those conditions, in front of all those terrible towel waving, rabid Steelers fans, I'm going to take the Steelers. But I do agree with what you said, Mike. If Jacksonville wins this game and they go on this run that they're on, watch out, because they can be a very, very dangerous out.
Time will tell, my man. Falcons at the Titans. Did you see Arthur Smith's comments this week? He doesn't seem very happy, Jeff. Doesn't seem very happy at all, Jeff.
Let me tell you something. Most coaches during the season are miserable, right? Mike, let me say this. I had a guy that I worked with in pro football in NFL Europe that used to refer to game days as 3.5 hours of gut-wrenching hell. That's what he described games. So for the fans, it's a lot of fun. But when you're trying to get a team ready to play and you're trying to coach guys and guys are getting hurt and guys are getting in trouble and guys, it is a long, hard grind. What's interesting to me, there must be a fire sale going on in Tennessee. Will Compton now went to Philadelphia. Those teams ought to just trade players between themselves. Right? That's 3 Titans right now that I'm counting, right, that have gone over, and all good players have gone from Tennessee to Philadelphia. And the Eagles are loading up for a Super Bowl run, and Tennessee looks like they're now in a full-blown rebuild. And I think the King is going to be the next one to go before the deadline.
Will Levis starting? I'm going to put it out there. You're talking about our coaches being really pissed off. Mike Vrabel's press conference, he lost it yesterday at a reporter. I'm going to say Will Levis wins the game for the Titans Sunday. Boom shakalaka. There you go. I'm picking the Titans to win this week. Who have you got, Falcons or Titans?
I'm going to take the Falcons.
Look, we're finally starting to disagree. I'm loving this. We should do a graphic each week in this. Who was right, who was wrong. Eagles.
Whoa. Bring it. Don't sing it. You hear me?
I'll give my chief.
You make the graphic and I'll sign off on
it. If you want to invoice me, I'll give you a shout. Folks, keep your comments coming in live. We'll get to them on the next segment of this live show / podcast. Eagles 6-1 at the Commanders 3-4. I'm not going to waste time here, and I'm going to get done for saying this if they get beaten Sunday. I'm taking the Eagles by 20, Jeff.
Nick Sirianni, Eagle head coach, will be flapping his wings so many times on Saturday, he might just fly.
On Saturday or Sunday? If he flies on Saturday, he might not be there on Sunday.
Sunday.
But he might be going to that Oregon game instead on Sunday or Saturday. College football podcast now available, folks, to listen to. Browns, Seahawks. Talking about uniforms, Seahawks are wearing those sexy. Have you seen those throwbacks?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Love them.
And for that reason, I'm picking the Seahawks. I literally can't choose between these teams.
I think this will be maybe a baseball score game, right? I think this is going to be a really low scoring game. And it doesn't look like Watson's going to play. It's PJ Walker again. And you talk about 2 quarterbacks that, 4 years ago, nobody knew who PJ Walker was. He was, he had played at Temple, gotten cut. He was playing in the XFL. And we know the story about Geno. So I think the Browns are better than people give them credit for. And I particularly like that defense in Cleveland. And so I'm going to take Cleveland.
PJ Walker going to Seattle, getting the win. Oh, okay. I'm taking Seattle. Ravens at the Cardinals. I mean, come on, Jeff.
Name your score.
34-10.
It's pretty close. I agree with you.
See, now we're saying off the same hymn sheet, my friend. Here we go. I mean, hold on. Sorry. The Chiefs at the Broncos.
Chiefs at the Broncos. Name your score.
6-6.
What?
I'm only joking. Probably 40 to 7 if they're lucky.
Yeah, and I mean, the Broncos defense is not very good, and it's not going to be any better now that Kareem Jackson is suspended. So, again, I think Kansas City is hitting their stride. And wasn't it interesting when Cole Hardeman came back? All of a sudden, he's found, it's like all of a sudden he came alive. I don't know what the problem was in New York, but again, I'm not going to tell you I told you so, but I told you so. All right. So, Cole Hardeman back. Kansas City Chiefs receiver room's better. Kelsey celebrated National Tight Ends Day in fine fashion and then walked out with the prom queen. So how much better does it get for Travis Kelsey?
Did you see the CBS graphic? You belong with TE. You belong with T after the Taylor Swift song. You belong with me. Call it right now. Will Taylor Swift be in Frankfurt next week? I'm going to say, yeah.
Yeah. That would be interesting. That would be a media sensation.
I think they'll fly her out. That being said, though, very quickly, you mentioned that hit that Kareem Jackson got done for. Does that merit? It's been reduced to 2 games. Do you think that hit was merited at 4-game suspension?
No, I think what happens with these things a lot of times, Mike, the players, Kareem Jackson's being vilified like just a dirty player, right? When you're particularly as a defensive back, the plays happen so fast and the receivers are right there. I mean, the strike zone is so small, right, that invariably it's going to look worse than it is. And when you look at the video of it, he didn't strike with his helmet. He struck with his shoulder. He didn't hit him in the head, right? So I don't get it. But again, I understand it's about player safety. I get that. But we got to have an appeal system or a challenge system in some way where you can overturn a bad call like that.
We are answering your questions coming up. And Jeff, I think any NFL fan just wants Mahomes to get through 4 quarters and not get injured. And I swear to God, please just come on. Right, man, this game's on Sky. The Niners hosting the Bengals gets so spicy now. It was always a spicy game because Joe Burrow and the Bengals are under pressure. They've had a bye week. They've watched every team in the North get a win. They've watched Lamar Jackson play at a godlike level. Sam Darnold is going to start at quarterback for the Niners. I can't pick this. This is the one game this week where I'm like, oh. Could you imagine the crack if Sam Darnold went out and balled out for the Niners? Balled out, Jeff.
If it's true that Sam Darnold is going to start, then I'm taking the Bengals. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm not a believer. Now he may tear it up. But unless Purdy's hurt, I don't understand that move. I obviously he's
concussion protocol. Now you've been a very busy man, to be fair, and I will just put that out. So we were recording our Week 8 preview last night, now available on all good podcast providers. But we were joking, Jeff, about 20 minutes in that something always happens when we record. There's always breaking news. Something stupid happens, and within 15 minutes, Ian Rapp pops up. Brock Purdy enters a concussion protocol. He's out on Sunday. He's not playing on Sunday.
Well, again, now I understand, because I would have been shocked if he'd have made that move just because they had lost 2 games in a row. I think I am not at all sold on Sam Darnold right now. People that I talked to inside the 49er organization have told me that he's looked good. They were impressed with him in training camp, all of that stuff. but I just can't get out of my mind what I saw, the last two stops. And I think that Cincinnati is getting better. Remember now, Cincinnati started out 1-3, and they're clawing their way back in. Burrow they're
And
coming off
a week of prep as well, Jeff, relaxation as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're coming off a bye, so they'll be healthier than they've been. So again, Cincinnati doesn't back off from anybody. And I did a video which you guys will be able to pick up on the X and also through
the X
through our network, and it previews this game. And I think it's going to be a saucy matchup.
So I say spicy, you say saucy. I love it. Do you know what? I'm going to pick the Bengals. You've converted me. I'm doing it. Right. So I'm off on Monday. I'm going to Spain on Monday. So I can watch the game late Sunday night. Right. So I'm thinking the hours haven't changed in the States. It's on an hour earlier. Sunday night football, buzzing. Who's on this week? It's the Chicago Bears and the LA Chargers. Oh dear Jesus! What did I do to deserve that? Anyway, it could be a decent game, but it's at SoFi. I feel if it was at Soldier Field, it'd be better crack. The SoFi Stadium, I mean, it'll be full of Bears fans, Jeff. I'll take the Chargers to win by 17 points.
Yeah, I think the Chargers will win by 10. I don't think they'll win by 17. That Badging kid, that kid out of Shepherd is playing quarterback for the Bears that, won his first start in the NFL. What a great story. As a matter of fact,
he played well as well, Jeff, last week. He did play quite well as well.
He did not in any way look. I mean, he's from Shepherd University, Mike. That's a tiny school in West Virginia. And, they have a good football program. It's for their level. But you're talking about Division II, right? So that's about as far down as you can go in college football. And he comes in and there's no bridge for him. There's no NFL Europe. There's no developmental league. This is a guy that was throwing passes at Shepherd, right? And now he's playing in the National Football League, and I don't know, maybe he just is oblivious to, it doesn't seem like a big thing to him. But the more people talk to him and the more people tell him, what a special thing he's done and all that stuff, he may wake up and all of a sudden look over there and there's Khalil Mack and there's Bosa and go, oh my God, I'm here. Right. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'm going to take the Chargers by 10.
One more game to look at. It's your favorite game of the week, Jeff. Monday night, the Raiders against the Lions. Can we talk about? I know Jimmy G's coming back, right? But the Raiders have got a backup that sounds like an Irishman, O'Donnell or something. And then the Packers have got Clifford as well. Anyway, look, the Lions are winning this game Monday night.
Well, I think the Lions will win, but the Lions got slapped last week. They got humbled last week, and it was interesting because Dan Campbell said he thought his team needed that. Now, I don't know if I've ever said that our team needed to get beat, but I think they probably were reading their press clippings a little bit and thought they were just going to waltz into Baltimore and win that football game, and Baltimore slapped them. So I look for them to get back in the mode that we saw them earlier in the year, where they're tough, they're physical, they're resilient, right? And I think the Lions will win the game.
A bonus one this week before we take people's questions to finish off this segment of the podcast. Your All Blacks are playing South Africa Saturday night in the Rugby World Cup.
It ain't going to be close.
I'm taking South Africa. I think they'll win. I think I've seen them play against us. I think they'll win, Jeff.
You're going to bet against the most successful professional sports team in history?
Well, hold on. That is extremely debatable for a start. Like in rugby,
for whom?
Well, you could say Real Madrid's the most successful sporting team.
How many world champions has Real Madrid won?
Well, they've won, I think, 14 European Cups.
I'm not talking about European Cups. I'm talking about world championships.
Yeah, but rugby's got less countries, and there's a whole Look, Jeff, you got to understand here. New Zealand, they massacred my boy. You know what I mean? They knocked us out too. So it's hard,
Mike, have you ever learned you can't bet with your heart? You have to bet with your brain, right?
Are you going to watch it or are you going to miss it because of the?
I'm going to watch. I watch the All Blacks every chance I get. I'll tell you a story about the All Blacks. True story. All right. I'm in Calgary, okay, with our football team, and we're playing the Stampeders the next day. And I walk into the hotel, and I see these girls standing in the lobby of the hotel, and obviously they're Polynesian kids. You can recognize them a mile away. And so I walk over and I say malo malo, which is hello in Samoan, right? And they answer back to me, but then they start to talk to me in that lilty New Zealand accent, that kind of quasi English accent. And I asked them what they were doing. They said, one of the girls happened to turn around and she had the fern of the All Blacks on her shirt. And she said, we play for the Black Ferns, which is what the women's national team is called. And the Women's World Cup was going on. It was in Canada. And so we talked and laughed and had a good time. And I asked the girls, I said, how long are you guys staying for? They had to leave the next day, but they were leaving after we had a special teams meeting in the morning, right? They were leaving like at 11. We had a 9 o'clock special teams meeting. So I said, let's do this. And I cleared it with their coach. I said, you guys come, knock on the door of the special teams meeting room, right, in the hotel at 5 minutes after my meeting's supposed to start, right? So we get into the meeting. We always shut the door, and when we start the meeting, I'm up there starting to talk, and all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door, and I blow a gasket. I mean, I blow a gasket. I go freaking absolutely nuts. Who in the frick is late for this effing meeting? Right? Get your ass in here, right? And the door opens up, and the Black Ferns come in. And they proceed right in the middle of our football team to do a haka. And it was unbelievable. So you got all these football players in their meeting, and in walks 20 of these elite level Polynesian athletes, right? In all of their Black Ferns attire. And Mike, I'm telling you, it was like in Hawaii, we say chicken skin moment, but the hair on the back of your neck would stand up. And those girls were like right in the face of our players. They would all that stuff. It was awesome.
I love that. Look, I obviously respect the All Blacks. Okay. Complete. And even, after what you told me, and you obviously love them. So of course you respect them. I just feel like I seen South Africa beat England 4 years ago. I seen us play and take South Africa to the last pip. We should have beat the All Blacks. I'm sorry, we should have, but they didn't. So I think it'll be a close game. I'm gonna take South Africa just for the crack, because you're taking the All Blacks, and we'll see the crack.
I'm taking the All Blacks, and I'm gonna just give you and everybody listening to this podcast a tip, a great tip. All right, there is a book called Legacy, right, and it's the story of the All Blacks and how they came to be what they are today. Right? It's not a historical. It's based on the last probably 25 years and what makes the All Blacks unique in all the world of sport. And I'm telling you, Mike, it's great for anybody that's in business, anybody in a family, anybody that in a sports team, what they do and how they conduct themselves and what's important in their organization. It's a fabulous book.
Right. Questions. Let's go, Jeff. Let's just go for. Do you want to end this segment of the podcast and just say mahalo?
I'm going to say aloha, which means goodbye. Mahalo. You got to remember, mahalo means thank you. All right. And I'm going to say
mahalo.
Mahalo and aloha from Mike and I. It's been a lot of fun. And again, we'll hope to see you again with us next week. Get this podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And again, hopefully we'll see you on the road anytime soon. All right. Go to Linktree//Reinebold to get your tickets. And we'd love to see you on the road. So, aloha.
Go for it, my man.
All right. All right, Mike, welcome back to the show. Again, the Jeff Reinebold Show. And this is the fun part show. This is the show where we take questions, comments, rants, takes. If you got something to say, you want to say it right out in front of everybody in the world, here's your show. This is your time. Get your questions in, but tell us, or we won't read the question. Tell us where you're from, because we're trying to make sure that we're reaching an entire global audience. So let's take it, Mike.
My first question is from Mike. Jeff, have you become a Taylor Swift fan yet? And if so, what's your favorite song?
If I became a what?
A Taylor Swift fan. I'm joking.
Who's Taylor Swift? You play quarterback somewhere?
In all seriousness, though, very, very quickly, you sort of was mentioned in the last podcast, they're definitely going to fly her over. 100%. They're unbeaten, what? Jeff. They're unbeaten, like with her in the stadium.
You love winding me up.
I'll just say this very quickly.
You are so different than the Michael McQuaid I met 2 years ago, right? That guy was quiet.
In a good way or bad way?
No, but that guy, you've always been a great guy, but you were so quiet and you didn't have it, like you were really, now you're the biggest smart ass I know.
Going back on the live show, Fred's telling me he failed Irish in school. I'm good to know. Stephen Fitzpatrick, the scaff in Galway. What a gaff. Jeff's about to find out the Guinness and scaff is good crack. Michael's poor missus is left alone every week when he gets off to London and Frankfurt. Interesting. Well,
Stephen, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. We got to know Stephen, where you're from, or I'm not answering a question.
I think he's from Galway, but it's grand. It's all good. I'll give him a kick. Brandon Wheels, you know where he's from. He's watching every week. Jeff, thoughts on the? I think that's a dolphin. I'm joking. I think that's a dolphin emoji. Thoughts on the Dolphins, despite the loss to the Eagles. Won't talk about missed calls and brackets. We're starting to get fit at the business end. Ramsey's back. Armstead's back next week. Shane's back after a bye. Dolphins to the AFC East. Jeff, they have a massive game this weekend because they've got Patrick Mahomes and your favorite tight end next week in Germany. Like they can't lose this week. They have to win on Sunday.
Well, I think, again, we're a little bit early to be saying they have to win. The only games you have to win are elimination games. But I do think you're right. I think this is a big game for them. And I like what he's saying about the Dolphins, because the Dolphins are starting to get healthier, right? Those are a lot of frontline players that are out. When they replace those players, again, in that lineup, they are going to be a salty bunch.
Stephen's from Dublin and Brandon's from Edinburgh. Hopefully see you in Glasgow, Brandon. Bring the pints of Frosty Jacks. Hi lads. Hi lads. Following the trade of Kevin Byers, is it possible Henry and Albert are dealt before the deadline? If so, where are the likely landing spots for Henry? Enjoy Spain, Michael. Gracias, senor. Next year, Madrid, donde estas? Jeff, I think Derrick Henry's gone by the end of the trade deadline. What sayeth you, my friend?
I agree with that. Right. We saw Will Compton went. I mean, that's a straight ass,
Kevin Byard
sale. Kevin Byard's a good football player, 2-time Pro Bowler, right? And you got him for a 6th round draft choice and a 7th round draft choice. You kidding me? I mean, he's going to help them a tremendous amount, right? Because they're nicked up at safety. I think it's a great trade.
Your man from Dublin, Stephen. Do you think the Eagles are winning because of Hurts or in spite of him? He turns the ball over a lot, which is what Dak Prescott was shredded for last year. That's a really good question, Jeff.
But I think you don't want to see turnovers ever. I mean, that's just an obvious comment. But do you know what player in the National Football League in the last 4 years is responsible for more turnovers than any other player? Josh Allen, right? And nobody says anything about Josh Allen turning the ball over, right? So I think the bottom line is winning. Winning is what you do. It's what you're paid to do, right? Now, if you're doing something, and turnovers are one of those things that is preventing you from winning or making it tougher for you to win, then obviously you got to eliminate that. But I just don't think it's, every quarterback's a little bit different, right? There are guys, Brett Favre threw a ton of interceptions, right? So, that's just one way of measuring a quarterback. It's not the end all be all.
Next question, my man, is from your guy Matthew Taggart. Just touched back down in Dublin from Philly, MT, wondering about Purdy possibly gaining his concussion from the tush push. I haven't pronounced that correctly. Will this unfortunately push the league to ban it? Jeff, did you see Nick Sirianni's comments about this
Mhm.
play? I loved it. I actually loved his cockiness. We need more of that in the league because I think sometimes things do get a little bit like sort of reserved, and I think it's fresh. Just like it's nice to see Sirianni come out and just believe in himself, and you can see that in the way his team plays, man.
Well, I think the one thing, if I could say anything to somebody that wants to get into coaching in particular, is be authentic. Whatever you are, be who you are, right? And if you're a guy like Bill Belichick that doesn't want to say anything and, in every press conference mumbles, if that's you, then be that, right? Don't try and be something that you're not. And I think that's one of the reasons why Sirianni is having success in Philadelphia is in front of his team, in front of the media, in front of the fans. He's not afraid to be himself. And he's authentically that guy. And I think that is incredibly important when you start talking about coaching.
Mick, can you please remove the nail mark on your wall behind your left ear? That's very interesting. I'm not allowed to, but I'll talk about that off camera. Thank you for that question. Fred has got a question, Jeff. As defensive coordinator, who would you build your Super Bowl defensive on, Deion Sanders or Rod Woodson?
No question about that one. And this is not a slight in any way to Rod Woodson because he is a Hall of Famer and was a great player and all of that. But Deion Sanders was a transcendent talent, right? He was a guy that, if you really remember, like Deion was drafted by my friend Jerry Glanville in Atlanta, and my other friend, the offensive coordinator, and who became the head coach in Atlanta, June Jones, took Deion when he saw his unbelievable punt return skills and put him at receiver and taught him some routes in the run and shoot. And Deion could have been a Pro Bowl receiver, right? He was a Pro Bowl punt returner. He was a Pro Bowl defensive back, to the point where, they use that term lockdown corner, and I hear that nonsense all the time. There are very, very few lockdown corners. Deion was one of those. You could put him, and I don't care if it was Jerry Rice or, whoever it was at that time. You could put him against one guy and tell everybody else on the defense, don't worry about that guy because he belongs to Deion. And he'd shut the guy out. That's how good he was. And I think this generation of fans really should go back and look at how special an athlete he was. The guy played in the same day a professional football game and a Major League Baseball game.
That's ridiculous.
He played in the morning in an NFL game, got in a helicopter, was flown to Cincinnati, and he played in a Major League Baseball playoff game that night. That's what an athlete he was.
Really enjoying seeing Prime in Colorado at the minute. Biased, of course.
That's exactly what we're talking about. When I said about, be genuine, be who you are, that's who Deion is. Deion's son played for us at SMU, right? So I've gotten to know him. Deion is a very good guy. He does not lack for confidence in the least, right? And, he says it all the time. Don't let my confidence offend your insecurity, right? So, and he's going to be that guy. That's just who he is.
I think we'll do one more tonight. If you have any more, folks, get them in, but we're all tired. Jeff's a busy man. Michael from London. Jeff, which team do you think is most under pressure this weekend as we get to the halfway point almost in the season?
Well, I think everybody's under pressure in the National Football League. They're under pressure in pro football every week, right? Every week is pressure filled, right? But I think really as I watch as a fan first, and then I listen as an analyst second, I think there is a tremendous amount of pressure on Buffalo. And that game, that Thursday night game against Tampa Bay, if they go 3 straight losses, there is all kinds of discussion here. Right? We're 45 minutes away from Buffalo. There is a tremendous amount of discussion here about Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator, should be fired. Head coach should be fired. They need an offensive head coach. Josh Allen's got to go back to run the ball. The reality of it is they're beat up right now, right? And Tampa has a chance against them. I just think that it's really, really important for the Bills and their psyche to get back into the win column.
If I buy you a ticket, will you go down to the game for us tonight?
Actually, I have a friend that's going to be at the game, but I can't go because we've got a playoff game.
Playoffs? Playoffs? Actually, I should probably mention that. When is the game, Jeff? Because my mind's gone.
We're going to play Saturday and then again come back the following Saturday to start the CFL playoffs. So we're already in playoff mode and starting to prepare and do all those things.
Well, I know everybody watching, listening to this, wish you the very best luck and go kill it, man. CFL Plus, you can watch it for free across Europe. If you want to watch it, stay up late and watch Jeff. Take a picture of him on the sideline, and we'll put it on here for the crack as well. Jeff, good crack tonight as always, man. If people listening or watching to this, we will have the podcast in normal mode Tuesday morning, maybe a video Monday nights, but we are going to be recording earlier next week. So do get your questions. I'll put a tweet out. I'll put Jeff put a tweet out. So get your questions in early. Jeff, that's us. Do you want to say goodbye or have you any final sort of thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like to say, again, thank you to everybody that listens to this podcast. And, thank you to 888 Sport, the official gambling partner of the National Football League in both Ireland and the UK, for sponsoring our show. If you are interested, we have videos that I do throughout the week highlighting players in the National Football League and matchups in the National Football League. You can get those on this group of podcasts at Pro Football Ireland. You can also, if you choose, you can follow me on the X, Jeff_Reinebold. And again, we appreciate everything you do for us. Michael, I appreciate you, my man. It's almost that time now. So we got to say goodbye, but we're also going to say aloha.
Aloha, my man. Have a great night. Thanks everyone watching, listening to this. Shout out to Fred, the last few comments. Flackers is watching.
Hey, Flacker.
Yeah, he is. There he is. Gur, Fred, everyone, Brandon, everyone watching. Thank you so much. See you next week. We won't be live, but we will have content. So thank you so much. Enjoy week 8. And Jeff, FaceTime me at 4 o'clock in the morning during Thursday Night Football. Good night, folks. Have a good weekend.